Mobile technology appears to be influencing and changing both the role of education in society and impacting student experiences and behaviors. Said another way, our culture of educational practice is transforming as a result of development in mobile technology. Higher educational institutions are no longer the gatekeepers of knowledge as they were in the past. Our mobile devices can unlock more information than you can fathom through a cursory search through Google or Wikipedia. However, these searches may not offer the expanse, context, or accessibility required for comprehension. Galantzis and Cope in 2010 argued a teacher's role has transformed from a knowledge authority figure directly imparting knowledge to an expert designer and manager of learning. Having said that, we need to ask what assumptions we are making about the tech youth culture. How do they use their technology in class? A large American study found a third of all college students admitted using their mobile devices to play games or other activities during class time. Tapscott, meanwhile, in 2008, suggests net Jenners grow up multitasking and have an increased aptitude for scanning and searching rather than focused reading. Students and teachers alike find themselves in a relatively new situation where students crave interaction, easily seen by their technology uses and the environment outside classroom walls, fighting for their attention. But they also expect teachers to deliver lectures uniquely situated to their interests, desires, and personal expectations, a tall order for instructors. We often hear of younger generations having lower attention spans or an aptitude for multitasking, yet we insist on having 2-hour in-class lectures where I teach. Is that too long? I remember feeling a 75-minute lecture being too long when I did my undergrad, so asking students to participate in a 2-hour lecture seems outdated. The most memorable instructors I remember were also the most entertaining, so while purely anecdotal, I find myself acting as both an educator and an entertainer, fighting to maintain student attentions on myself and the lecture content rather than their mobile devices. Or are students restless in class because they are what Jenkins in 2009 labels a participatory culture who would rather interact than download ideas? Perhaps then it is not the length of class, but rather the presentation format. In 2012, Turkle suggested face-to-face conversations unfold slowly, teaching students patience, whereas online communications have sped up discourse, creating new expectations. A frequent discussion I have with my colleagues concerns how much information do we provide students on their course pages. Without getting into a debate on intellectual property rights and so on, I'm interested in discussions on whether lecture prezzies, PowerPoints, and so on should be made available for students. I appreciate arguments for providing them in advance so students are not frantically writing down notes, which allows them to pay more attention in class, although this may affect student attention and attendance. Conversely, I believe it is good practice for students to learn how to effectively manage and learn note-taking skills, which activates kinesthetic learning and memory traits, rather than copying slides by verbatim. Sparrow, Liu, and Wagner in 2011 asserted search engines have altered how we encode information internally, which has led to understanding where information is stored rather than the information itself. However, if these connections cannot be made, namely notes provided, then we are forced to encode the information internally. Moreover, I regularly provide lecture notes to students with accommodation plans. Does this create an uneven playing field? An interesting student response has been to take photos on their smartphones as slides to view later. However, some of these students often withdraw from the lectures after doing so. I have been stopped while giving a lecture and asked to go back so students could copy the rest of the slide down, leading me to wonder whether students have been taught how to manage their learning in these new environments. Or has our new mobile culture created a sense of entitlement to their individualized learning pace? Or better yet, knowledge should be open access, as Walensky in 2002 suggested. Mobile technology influencing student culture and behavior may stem from something which is not a fault of students or our own, rather a byproduct of previous generational understandings of educational delivery, classroom design. Colleges and university classrooms are often quite large, often an auditorium layout. This design focuses on the instructor and presentation, furthering the idea knowledge is consumed or downloaded rather than interacted with. Plato's allegory of the cave, anyone? Most of my classes have approximately 90 students in them, and I often feel more connected to students based on the layout of the class, with the steeper auditoriums providing a more intimate feel than the expansive, wide classrooms. This impacts student learning and their impulse to escape to their mobile devices. Therefore, I am tempted to suggest mobile technology is also an antecedent to withdraw into when students are not physically or emotionally engaged in the class, possibly resulting in students identifying classmates and personal laptop use as the largest reported distraction. Three strategies Collins and Halverson in 2009 identified to address these traditional disruptions are how we react to technology by either condemning, co-opting, or marginalizing its use. A potential explanation for a student and instructor disconnect in viewing mobile uses in educational settings may simply amount to perceived value or the legitimacy of its use. In a study, instructors viewed mobile device use during lectures as illegitimate, while most students saw it as illegitimate. Interestingly, older students were found to share their instructors' attitudes in this study, which may speak to the divide and belief system of millennial students who feel a disproportionate level of guilt in their tech use during class. As mobile technology advances exponentially, it seems inevitable mobile culture will influence how education is delivered, which calls for a careful analysis of where we would like to see the two take.